More than 700 delegates from cities, towns, and rural communities across Manitoba gathered at Winnipeg's RBC Convention Centre last month for the annual Association of Manitoba Municipalities convention. From healthcare to infrastructure to municipal funding, cell service, and RCMP policing costs, leaders spent 3 days debating the issues shaping communities across the Keystone Province. And while the focus was on Manitoba, municipal organizations from beyond the province were on hand as well. The Federation of Canadian Municipalities President Rebecca Bligh attended the convention, meeting with delegates throughout the 3-day event. Now, we spoke with President Bligh about what she's been hearing and how, despite each province's unique landscape, the challenges facing municipalities remain deeply interconnected. President Bligh, thank you so much for chatting with me on day 2 of the Association of Manitoba Municipalities Convention here in beautiful downtown Winnipeg. First off, what brings you, President of FCM, to this beautiful location to talk to municipal leaders?
Oh, I always love coming to AMM and being in Winnipeg and in Manitoba. We were happy to have an invitation to come and address the delegation, the full membership here at AMM, and reflect back much of the critically important work, actually, that Manitoba has been doing through their advocacy with AMM as well as FCM, represented by our second VP, Kathy Valentino, of course, who's also president of AMM. So yes, here to sort of share some updates, and a real pleasure to be meeting with our members here.
One of the big announcements that came out yesterday, but you also mentioned it in your speech, was Winnipeg is going to be hosting FCM in 2028. What was that decision based on? And I've put it out there on social media, and everyone is excited to get back to Winnipeg because they said the last time it was here, it was the best convention they've had. Are you excited to come back to Winnipeg in 2 years?
Well, already I'm hearing all about this karaoke night at Shannon's, and I'm sorry I missed it last night, but it sounds like it's a great place to be. Look, it's so important for us to get across our country, visit each province, and through the annual conference we can share the spotlight with our partners, and coming to Winnipeg for annual conference in 2028 is going to be something that I know our members are very much going to be looking forward to.
Now, you and I were both sitting in on the quote-unquote bear pit session where municipal leaders get to quiz their provincial ministers. We heard issues around infrastructure, RCMP, healthcare. Now, you and I have chatted a few times. These are conversations that we're hearing across all of Canada. Are the conversations that you are having one-on-one with members same as what we're hearing on that national stage right now?
Absolutely. I mean, it's so good and incredibly valuable as president of FCM to sit in the bear pit and really listen from the microphones, the members coming up and asking the questions with the very specific, nuanced examples of what's happening in their communities. It only reinforces that we are absolutely on the right track with our advocacy. And so whether it's wastewater and water infrastructure in order to build those homes, spread way too thin in terms of RCMP coverage in certain areas and more rural parts of Manitoba, the catch and release, making sure that the federal bail reform, and even the Premier, Canoe, mentioned that he too wants to see the federal government continue to push on from the recent announcements around bail reform. So incredible amount of alignment on the issues, and an invaluable experience for me to be here this morning to hear directly from folks who are challenging the ministers and the Premier in the bear pit this morning.
Just want to talk about bail reform for a few seconds, because Mayor Knox of Portage la Prairie, Mayor Fawcett of Brandon, Mayor Gillingham of Winnipeg, Vice President, and also President of AMM, Kathy Valentino, have been on the front lines of talking about bail reform for the last year and a half. We saw movement at the federal level earlier this year around amendments to the criminal code. From your perspective as FCM, does this go far enough? Because we just had 10 mayors in Manitoba sign a letter saying that it's good, but there still could be done. There still needs to be a little bit more.
Yes, I mean, I think that mostly the bail reform legislation is really trying to tackle some of the more violent crimes, and we know that the RCMP and the police in various areas, communities right across our country are arresting the same people, generally speaking, for all sorts of criminal activity and crimes that is not necessarily violent, but still an incredible financial cost and burden and sort of overtaxing of the police services in various communities that they just simply can't afford. So we need to get to root cause issues here, as well as funding for the criminal justice system, I think is going to be part of it. So we can't necessarily hold people on remand without giving them a chance to be heard in court in a very quick fashion, and I think that's the other challenge. So we're advocating for all of those pieces. It's a start for sure, but doesn't go far enough, so we'll continue to push on.
So my final question is, this is the last big convention of the calendar year for municipal leaders to gather. This is your last convention of 2025 as president, because we have a few more before the 2026 convention in Edmonton. How's this year been for you?
Oh my goodness, it has just been an absolute honor and privilege to serve in this role. Getting across the country to meet people in their home communities has been as I say, an invaluable experience, making relationships, hearing directly from people. Our members are so appreciative when we're in their home provinces and meeting with them where they're at. And also just showing that that synchronicity, that alignment, that coordination between federal and provincial advocacy for municipalities, that we're not working in silos. So it's been fun. I'm a little tired. But I also am just so incredibly grateful for an incredible executive at FCM. First Vice President Tim Tierney, who I know you've spoken to, and second VP Kathy. We've got a new third VP, Marc Doré, who's just been reelected as mayor in Dorval in Quebec. And of course, Amy Cody, our director at large. So, or our VP at large. So incredible bench strength to share the load. It's a massive country, as you know. So I'm just so happy to be here. I look forward to the spring, a lot of Atlantic Provincial Association meetings and more in the Territorial Association meetings that generally happen at the beginning of the year. New premier in Whitehorse. So there's a lot of work to, in Yukon, I should say. And in Nunavut, yes. So we've got lots of work to do, and we'll hit the ground running in 2026.
Well, President Bligh, always a pleasure. Look forward to our next chat. Thank you so much.
Always. Thanks.
Did you know that Manitoba's municipalities have a voice working tirelessly for them every day? That's the Association of Manitoba Municipalities, your trusted partner in advocacy and action. From local roads to economic development, emergency services to community planning, the AMM ensures municipal priorities are heard loud and clear. They work side by side with local leaders and municipalities, empowering them to tackle the challenges that matter most to their communities. At the AMM, they bring municipalities together, united on the key issues and stronger as a team. Together, they work to make sure your community's concerns don't just get heard, they get action. So whether it's building infrastructure, strengthening local economies, or shaping provincial and federal policy, the AMM is here to make municipal issues matter. The Association of Manitoba Municipalities, advocating for your community, making a difference for all Manitobans. Learn more about how AMM is helping your community at amm.mb.ca.
For Rural Municipalities of Alberta Vice President Jason Snyder, this convention marked his first trip outside Alberta since being acclaimed to the role just last month in Edmonton. Schneider spent the week speaking with leaders and comparing how both provinces are navigating similar issues, and why a speech from Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew may have offered a welcome olive branch for rural municipal leaders back in Alberta. Vice President, thank you so much for chatting with us here on day one of the Association of Manitoba Municipalities Convention in beautiful, beautiful downtown Winnipeg. As Vice President, first off, congratulations. You're now in the job since our last conversations. How's it feel, and how's it feel to be here among your Manitoba municipal friends?
You know, it's great, and thank you. Monday was my first official day, so I'm still claiming the new guy card here. But no, it's great to be out here. I've had the chance over the years to attend a couple of conferences out here, and yeah, it's always a really good time, and it's always great catching up with other municipal people across the country.
I know it's only first day and you've had a few conversations, but what is the themes that you're hearing here at AMM that you can take back to RMA and say, you know what, we're not really alone in this big confederation called Canada. The issues in Manitoba are kind of the same here in beautiful Alberta.
Yeah, it's well, a lot of it comes down to we take care of really big areas. So infrastructure funding is always something. I saw the Premier this morning of Manitoba mention, they did give a 2% increase, which, is something, but I'm guessing if it's anything like our members, probably a drop in the bucket, but, it's something that we're all kind of facing that same thing, big infrastructure deficits, and we're all trying to come up with creative solutions to fix them, and no different here than it is in Alberta.
So what do you do with the information you gleaned here? I know you're still early days, but you go back to Edmonton. Do you talk to your board member and saying this is what's happening, or what's the next steps?
Yeah. So, I mean, we have a lot in common with AMM as well as a SARM and, RMA, obviously. So we do try to get together and especially, talking to the federal government, reminding them, hey, there's life west of Ontario, right? And, we got big areas, big resource, big amounts of resources that we need to get to market. And sometimes that needs a little help from the federal government. So particularly those are kind of the issues that we really work closely with AMM on. And hopefully we're able to, get some momentum going on that.
Now, I didn't prepare you for this question, but I've got to ask it because the Churchill port was talked about during the Premier's speech. Getting our resources to market is priority number one. You probably heard that a lot during RMA. Is it reassuring that you're hearing the same thing from Manitoba municipalities?
Oh yeah, for sure. There's probably a lot of Albertans that would love to hear that. That another port to get resources to market is a welcome thing. I'm sure our friends at SARM are very excited about that one as too. And working together as three provinces, I think you could do some amazing things up there. So really happy that it's on the radar for Manitoba and right from the Premier's mouth. So it's exciting.
Vice President, thank you so much.
Anytime, thank you.
From the land of the living skies, Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities President Bill Huber was also in attendance this year. He said the conversations happening in Winnipeg echoed the concerns he hears from his own members across rural Saskatchewan.
President Huber, thank you so much for chatting with us at AMM convention here in beautiful Winnipeg. As the president of SARM, why was it important for you to be here in Winnipeg to help celebrate Association of Manitoba Municipalities?
Well, it's a great relationship we've got with the Manitoba Association of Municipalities, and which we have with all the provinces, including Alberta and Saskatchewan, Manitoba. We're a group that have the same similar needs as far as infrastructure and funding to support our members, and we work collaboratively together. We have an organization that we're all part of too, called WCMA, which is the Western Canadian Municipal Association, and we meet twice a year, usually on that, once virtually and once in person. So it's just renewing friendships and supporting them on their initiatives, which are very similar to some of ours.
Now, the Association of Manitoba Municipalities is meeting to debate some issues, talk about challenges. As president of SARM, are you hearing similar issues that AMM is dealing with, that your members in rural Saskatchewan are dealing with, around canola, around tariffs? Or are there issues that you're hearing that you're going, oh, didn't realize that was an issue here?
No, most of the issues that they're dealing with here are similar to ours and what Alberta has too. And we listened to the Premier's address this morning, and of course the Mayor from the City of Winnipeg, and along with Kathy Valentino, the President of the Manitoba Association, and all very entertaining, high-level speeches and presentations. And the Premier is he's supporting some of the things that the municipalities are asking for. Their Minister of Government Relations here, an excellent individual, have the opportunity to meet with him and chat with him last night. The same issues that are concerning them in infrastructure that concern us and our minister in Saskatchewan. So a lot of the similar things, they have some issues here that are a little different than ours. One is the Port of Churchill and the rail line up there, and to get that port opened and going again, it's something that's not going to happen in days or weeks. It's years ahead. But at least the Premier here is supportive of it, as our Premier would be probably, and the federal government are coming on side. So I think that's very important to export for provinces like Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and even Alberta, and very vital to our GDP and our economy going forward in future years.
Now, I know you're heading back to Saskatchewan tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, but what do you take back? So getting here is great. supporting your fellow fraternity of municipalities is great, but what do you take back to Saskatchewan to make sure that what happened here doesn't just sit on a shelf somewhere?
Well, we take back, some of the issues and concerns that they have, and they're very similar to ours. And we can go back and tell our members and our board, that we were here. We were part of this as invited guests, and we're honored to be here. And we're going to take back some of the same issues that we have at home. Like I said, they have a few other challenges and things they deal with, and we'll support them on them. We support the Hudson Bay Route Association. We have a member from our board on that committee. And I actually had the opportunity to speak at their annual meeting in Churchill, or in Thompson, Manitoba, just a couple weeks ago. Great opportunity. So, we love the collaboration that we can have with not only Manitoba but Alberta too, because we just had two directors, our vice president and another director from Division 1, attend the meetings in Alberta last week. So, we like working together, and that's the way you get things accomplished. Especially when we're dealing with the feds for funding all the time.
President, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chris.
And finally, Union of British Columbia Municipalities President Corey Ramsay joined this year's convention to build new connections and discuss shared challenges between BC and Manitoba, including one issue top of mind in both provinces: the reliability of cell coverage in rural regions.
President, thank you so much for chatting with me on day 2 of the Association of Manitoba Municipalities Convention. What brings the UBCM here to beautiful downtown Winnipeg?
UBCM has a really great relationship with Western provinces. We have the Western Canada Municipal Association, and we do a lot of joint advocacy together. And a lot of that is also relationship building, which includes inviting presidents to each other's annual conventions. UBCM welcomes presidents from our Western Canada associations, and so I'm here today just to really learn and see how they do it in Manitoba.
Now, you're just recently off your election as president. Congratulations. But also, you're just recently off of your own convention in downtown Victoria, where you got together with municipal leaders from across British Columbia to talk about the issues. Are the issues that you're hearing here in Manitoba the same that you're hearing in British Columbia?
I just got out of what they call colloquially the bear pit, which is such an interesting session. And hearing the questions from delegates, they're so similar to what is happening back home. Questions around public safety, around mental health, around addictions, homelessness, number of physicians in the province, and the list goes on. So it's really just creates really a feeling of uniformity, of knowing that our advocacy in BC, in Manitoba, at the FCM level is really reflective of the issues across Canada, not just back at home.
So what do you do with the information you've gathered here? Because I can imagine you have to go home and give a report to your board, but for you, what steps do you take after you get back to Prince George for yourself to ensure that the conversations that started here today don't just end here?
One of the things I really appreciated over the last couple of days is just hearing about the provincial collaboration that exists between the province, the cabinet, as well as AMM. I think that's a really beautiful relationship, and really what I'll be bringing home are those learnings, the way that Manitoba really heads into those things in that collaborative manner is something that's just so inspiring. I feel like I'm going home with really such a positive perspective on how I'm going to work throughout my presidency for UBCM and for our UBCM members.
Final question. How reassuring was it that you heard that even in Manitoba they have cell phone coverage reception issues? Because that's what I've been hearing across northern BC as well.
For the leader of the opposition to say, has anyone tried calling these guys? Oh, no, they don't have cell reception. I thought, the only thing worse is being called out for being a Rough Riders fan. But, it's nice to see that collegiate, like joking manner. Things seem a lot like really easygoing in Manitoba. This is my first time visiting, but I think there's just a relaxed way, and seeing that in your senior levels of politicians is just it just seems like a really good way to go about doing things. I sometimes it can be really tense, or higher levels of political office. There's a lot of back and forth and calling out individuals rather than policies, but we didn't see that here. So it's just, I think, some lessons that we can all learn from.
President, thank you so much for doing this. Greatly appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Municipal Affairs. Now, we want to take a moment and thank the Association of Manitoba Municipalities for allowing us to be on location at this year's Leadership in Motion convention in beautiful downtown Winnipeg. Now, your support, our viewers, our listeners, means the world to us. So if you can, share this episode with your friends, your family, and yes, even your community, and help keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and we will be back with a brand new episode of Municipal Affairs shortly. Till then, everyone.